Hey, good morning, guys. I want to ask you guys a question. Has anybody other than me ever noticed that most of the time when you see black men in media, you're usually seeing some sort of rapper or some sort of athlete? Let me know if you've noticed that. I'm going to kind of break this down. I'm going to ask this basic question today on drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. The question I'm going to ask you today is, why is media only focused on black men primarily when we are bawling or rapping, when we're entertaining white people in some way? I'm going to break that down for you, and we're going to talk about that right now on drboycetv.com. So buckle up your seatbelt, hit the thumbs up button. We're going to get started right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to ask you guys if you've ever noticed something. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you've ever taken the time to notice this. And if you haven't noticed it, I'd like for you to acknowledge that you'll hear me out on this. Has anybody ever noticed that most of the time when a black man is featured in media, I was looking at a magazine last week and I kind of noticed this. Does anybody else notice that whenever you see black men in media, it's usually because they are playing a sport or busting a rap? Has anybody else ever noticed that? Has anybody else ever noticed that 9 times out of 10, and I want you to pay attention, whenever a black man is in media, it's because he's playing the sport or he's, he's entertaining like other people. Um, you know, Also give me a yes or no if you've ever noticed this. Have you ever noticed that what happens when a tall black man walks in the room? You know, we got an 18-year-old who's 6'6", and so tell me, what happens when a tall black man walks into a room? What question do people usually ask him when he walks in? Somebody answer that for me, and I'll give you you get a cookie for today. How a gold star. What do they usually ask a tall black man if he walks in, let's say 6'6", 6'7"? What's the first thing that people are usually going to say? Not even just the white people. They're going to say it to the black people too, or the black people are going to say it to them too. They're going to say, yep. They're going to say, what team do you play for? Or, ooh, you'd be a good basketball player. Or what sport do you play? Or they're going to say, oh, you wasted all that height. You don't play a sport. You wasted all that height. You ever notice that? And here's the thing: the reason I'm sensitive to this, and the reason I'm even bringing this up, is because my stepson. I'm about to get married this week. I told you guys I'm getting married on Friday. We're going to live stream it on the Black Love channel, if you want to watch. And my stepson is 6'6". My goddaughter, who I helped raise, who is a daughter to me, she's about 6'1". And one thing that they both have in common is this: they're both very, very smart. One's good at engineering, the other one's good. She went to Columbia University. She was just a great student and a really good athlete, actually. She didn't play basketball. She's a good athlete and a good student. And one of the things that both of them hate that drove them insane is that since they were about 5, every time they walk into a room, somebody says, "What sport do you play?" Or somebody says, "Oh, you wasting all that height because you're not playing. You don't want to play basketball, right?" And this made me think about society at large. And again, I want to make 100% crystal clear that this is not a diss on athletes. If you're an athlete, I am not dissing you. I swear to God, I have a lot of friends that are NBA players and NFL stars, guys like Etan Thomas, one of the greatest black men I know. Love this brother, extremely intelligent. Etan is a wonderful guy. Allen Houston, went to high school with Allen Houston, who played for the New York Knicks. Love him and love his family. They're from Louisville like I am. A lot of NBA and NFL players I know. A lot of rappers I know. This week when we get married, D1, who's an extraordinary rapper, is going to be there. Willie D from the Ghetto Boys is in my wedding. He's one of my groomsmen. So I talked to Ice Cube the other day, and he congratulated me on the wedding, right? So I'm cool with rappers in general. That that I'm cool with the ones I'm cool with. I'm not cool with the ones I'm not cool with, right? Tyler the Creator has hated me since 2013. But the point of the matter is to say that I think this is a conversation worth having. One of the things that I notice in media is that black men have a really hard time getting attention from white media unless they are playing a sport or busting a rap. And what here's where this comes from. This comes from the plantation. This comes from plantation rules. If you read books like Black Labor, White Wealth, which explains reparations in a nutshell, I don't know why they keep claiming they got to do a study on reparations. You ain't got to do no damn study. Dr. Claude Anderson been doing the study for 50 years. Y'all just acting stupid. Y'all just playing dumb. Y'all need to go ahead and just cut the damn check. Hashtag cut the check. Put that in the chat, please. Hashtag cut the check. Stop playing with it. Stop playing with our money. You've been owing us many trillions of dollars, and you are delinquent. When can we expect payment? Hashtag cut the check. Hashtag F you pay me. Seriously. But if you read Black Labor, White Wealth, and if you read Powernomics, where Dr. Claude Anderson breaks down the plantation, how much slaves cost, what the slaves were doing, and how they got rewarded, he talks extensively about the fact that for hundreds of years, white people have always appreciated black people, particularly in certain capacities. This explains society today. This explains society. This also explains your black misleadership class. They have rewarded black people for doing one of three things. And I want to make sure, I'm going to see if I can remember them all. One is if you entertained white people, that means if you played a sport or you could do a dance, if you could dance the jig, they would treat you as well as they treated white people. They would love you to death. They would build statues in your honor. So if you could entertain white people through sports or entertainment, you always got elevated to the top of the pack. Two, if you could protect white people, if you protected white people, or little white girl was drowning and you saved the white girl, then you would get rewarded for that. The third way you would get rewarded is if you snitched on another black person. If you sold out your own people, there would be many, many warm, fresh, delicious, hot, moist, buttery biscuits waiting for you at the end of the day. In fact, there was one Negro who told on the slaves that were trying to revolt. I kid you not. And this guy, they built a statue for him in his honor, and the statue was in this little town till like the 1970s. That's how much they love. They build a statue in your name. They might give you your freedom. If you ever wanted to come up, just sell out black people. Just and that explains a lot of your black misleadership class. That's why your leaders are so bad. Your leaders are really bad for at least a couple of reasons. One, because they reward people who sell out black people. So basically, a lot of your leaders are basically selling out your own people. So they're getting rewarded handsomely behind closed doors. They're getting big fat checks. They get chances to sit on corporate boards. They get massive donations to their organization that allegedly supports civil rights. All these things. Number two is your leadership is bad because they elevate people that are stupid. They don't want to hear anything from black intellectuals. If you look around, most black intellectuals are completely ignored unless they do a really good job of making sure they don't ever mention blackness or black people. Most black intellectuals don't get any attention unless they are ignoring black people or they are speaking about blackness in a way that has been sanctioned by white liberals. So for example, you might have a brother that might write a book about about whiteness or something, or maybe write a book about the police brutality, or write some sort of book about some issue that white liberals are okay with. But if he writes a book about reparations, they're not going to pay any attention to that. If he writes books about, if he talks about issues that reflect economic needs in the black community, they don't want to hear that. When Ice Cube wanted to meet with Joe Biden to talk about black economics, and he had a team of scholars with him. It wasn't just him by himself. He had a team of scholars with him. Biden basically said, I'll talk to you after the election. Ain't nobody heard from Biden since. Just so you know, it should be documented that the man is a complete liar. They lied, him and Kamala. I know y'all love Kamala, but Kamala said, I'll talk to you after the election. We'll meet after the election. Well, it's after the election. Where you at? The election's been over for a while, yet you're not returning our calls. Did we lose your number? Is it the wrong? Is this the right phone number? Because this was certainly the number you were calling us from when you were telling us to get our booty to the polls. This is the number you were calling from when you were telling us to make sure we go to vote after church. This is the number you call us every time you try to gaslight us with voter ID laws. Even though I don't know too many black people who can't even get by without an ID. I mean, without an ID, you can't get your Social Security. Without an ID, you can't get hardly nothing done. You can't drive your car. You can't pick up your check damn near without an ID. So to me, the people that can't get an ID, most of them probably ain't even voting anyway because they can't even pick up the Social Security check. I'm not saying the IDs don't matter, but I'm trying to think. I'm saying that sounds like an illegal immigrant issue that they are disguising as a black issue. That sounds like an issue that affects maybe illegal people because they can't get an ID. But black people, I know. How many of y'all know? Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all know black people who either have an ID or could get a ride with somebody to go pick up an ID if they wanted one? How many? Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all know black people who could get an ID? If you know a black person who cannot get an ID, please reach out to me and I will put out a call on this podcast for anybody to pick this person up and take them to get an ID. So this whole voter ID issue is a bunch of nonsense. I want to make sure you know I want to make that clear to you. So because sometimes we miss it, right? So here's the issue. Let's get back to this whole athlete entertainer thing. If you look at I want you to pay very close attention when you look at mainstream media and you're looking at which black men tend to be featured. I want you to count how many of those people are rappers or athletes. I want you to just take note of that. Be conscious of this. And I want you to take note of how many of those people are solid, let's say solid intellectuals, like a Dr. Claude Anderson. I want you to look at how many times white mainstream media will feature a Dr. Anderson versus how many times they will feature a rapper. Many of whom, unfortunately, are being paid by big white corporations to engage in KKK-like activity. Let's talk about the culture. Let's talk about hip hop culture gone bad. I told you guys I have a lot of rappers I love. Shout out to David Banner. Shout out to Killer Mike. Shout out to E40 and Sugar T and people that are trying to do better things with their lives. Shout out to D1. Shout out to all the great rappers that are doing wonderful things. I love you and I appreciate you immensely. But then at the same time, you've got a darker side to hip hop. You have a darker side to the culture where white corporations like Apple Music, white corporations like Spotify are paying these people to basically promote genocide to black people. They are paying these people to get on wax to rap about how many black people they killed that day. If a Klansman was doing that, y'all be outraged about it. If a white police officer was rapping about how many black people he was going to shoot today, you would probably find that to be a problem. Give me a yes or no if you think that there's a little bit of a contradiction here. Give me a yes or no if you follow me. Please say something in the chat to let me know that I'm not talking over your head or to the side or out or talking crazy, that I wasn't born on the wrong planet. I need to know that somebody else sees this ridiculousness that exists in our society. Why is it that white corporations won't let you say a goddamn negative thing about a Jewish person, won't let you say shit about Jewish people? You say one word about Israel, your ass going down. You'll never get a record deal for the rest of your life. Your career will be over. That brother who was in Judas, or was it the Black Messiah? Was it Judas and the Black Messiah? Is that what it was called? Yeah. That brother, that actor, Keith Stansfield, whatever his name was, he was beefing with Charlemagne. He said one thing in a Clubhouse session that's supposed to be private, by the way. It's supposed to be private. He said something in Clubhouse. They got that nigga been apologizing all week. Nick Cannon pissed off the Jewish community. That dude gonna be apologizing for the rest of his life. He gotta wait. He goes to sleep. If he has a dream about saying something negative about Israel, he gotta wake up and apologize for having a crazy dream. They got Negroes denouncing Farrakhan without even being asked to do it, like just denouncing him like it's a hobby. Like I have nothing better to do today, so I think I'm just gonna denounce Farrakhan, a man who's never done anything negative to me, who's never said anything bad about me, who's never attacked me, but I gotta make sure I denounce him just to make sure I'm good with the boss. Right? So they got you denouncing Farrakhan at every available turn. They got you apologizing for standing up for your own people. They got you looking like on your knees like a little punk because you even sneezed the word Israel out of your mouth. But yet, these same people, these same record labels are paying you millions of dollars to call black people the N-word as much as possible. They're paying you millions of dollars to write lyrics like, I killed 4 niggas last week. Right? Like, what about that statement makes you think that that's okay? Like, seriously, I need you to process that for a moment, because sometimes it's the simple shit that makes us stop for a minute and realize how crazy we have become. It's the simple stuff that matters. And I want to really sit on that thought for a moment. What in the world makes you think that you can never be respected on any level if you are out here talking about murdering your own people and bragging about it, but at the same time trying to act outraged when a police officer shoots a black man. You have no credibility. You sound stupid. You sound ridiculous. Seriously, it's the dumbest. It's like, well, don't you hit on my sister, but I'm gonna punch the bitch straight in the jaw tomorrow. Seriously, you ain't protecting your sister. You're looking stupid right now. So what I'm sitting there trying to tell you is that they do this on purpose. They do this on purpose because they want the black man to be an ignorant little monkey. They want the black man to be lost. They want the black man to be stupid. They want you to be high on drugs. They want you to be distracted. They want you to be misguided. They want you to be misled. They want you to adopt all the wrong things and think that they're the right things. They want you to be in the back of the bus forever. They sure as hell don't want to share the economics with you because all these politicians don't never say nothing about the money. They talk all day about everything except the money. And then they'll get some Negro on TV, some entertainer that you've been trained to love. You've been trained, again, just like anybody who knows psychology. Again, this is a platform for intelligent black people. Anybody who knows psychology knows about Pavlov's dog. Pavlov's dog was a dog they trained to salivate every time they rang a bell. They trained him, and what they did was they studied the fact that if you train somebody in a certain way, you can get them to respond to something that's stupid and have them think that it's real. So they trained this dog to think that every time the bell rang, that hearing the bell was the same as receiving food. So they trained a lot of us like Pavlov's dog. They've trained us to engage in this ridiculous behavior where we will honor and worship a celebrity and really think that that celebrity is a black leader just because your oppressor put that person on TV. Just because he got a record deal, you somehow think that he's a wealth expert because he got a record deal. Even though he done blew all his money, got 18 babies, mamas, been in bankruptcy court, ain't got a nickel to his name, and his own videos pretending to have money that he don't have. You still will be like, oh, he must know about wealth because he had a music video that was seen by 10 million people. He had a big chain around his neck, so he must be paid. You are trained to believe that because somebody was on TV that they are an expert on politics. You are trained to believe that because some athlete or entertainer dunked a couple basketballs or whatever, that somehow this person is supposed to be a legitimate guide for how you live your day-to-day life. And so if you want to understand in a nutshell why you see such crazy behavior by some of our brothers, I love them all. I love black people. I really do. But some of y'all, I can't kick it with y'all. I can't be around somebody who thinks that ignorance is the way to go. I can't be around somebody who makes fun of people because they read too many books. I can't because strategically, my daddy's a soldier. He raised me to say that the ignorant motherfucker is the one who gets shot first. My daddy raised me to understand that if you ain't got knowledge in your brain, then the world will bring you pain. My daddy taught me that if you follow ignorant ass people, you're gonna be twice as ignorant as those people because not only are you are they ignorant, but you're actually following their ignorance, which makes you twice as dumb as they are. So I'm sorry. Some of our people I don't understand. I can't rock with that. I can't rock with stupidity. I can't rock with a commitment to worshiping things like drug addiction. I've seen what drugs do to black men. I've seen many black men who could have been great fathers, could have been great people, could have been amazing human beings, but their kids can't even depend on them to pick them up after school because you up here high on Molly Percocet because some rapper was rapping to you in the car about Molly Percocet over and over again. I don't understand how you think on any level that you're ever going to have any power if you sitting there high on drugs all the time. Seriously, if I was a thief and I wanted to rob people, I wanted to kick your ass and take your money, would I go after the man who was which man would I go after? Would I go after the man who's alert, who's aware, who's been well trained to protect himself and his family, who's on point, who understands what the hell's going on, who's always prepared to protect and defend, who's courageous? Or would I go after the little sissy boy who's been feminized, who is sitting there high on dope, who's drunk as hell, ignorant as fuck, which person would make the easier target for me? Which person would be the easier one for me to go rob? If I was an oppressor, if I was the white man, I want to keep black people enslaved. Which black man would I go after? Would I go after the brother from the Nation of Islam, who's who's like tight and clean and ready and prepared and been training and studying, who's fully alert? Or would I go after the dude who's sitting there with his pants sagging, who's smoking weed every 10 minutes, who's snorting stuff in his nose and drinking liquor and talking about where the hoes at, who ain't read a book since 1995? Like, which guy would be an easier target for me if I was trying to oppress a group of people? You see, what you got to understand is that the reason that they promote entertainers and athletes and nobody else is because they want you to look at their lifestyles and they want you to imitate their behavior. They don't want the black man reading books. They want him, you know, chasing the liquor and the weed and the women. They don't want the black man building wealth. They want him to throw his money away. Here's an example. There was a song years ago I remember hearing. Somebody brought it to my attention, and because they figured I would be kind of annoyed by it, which I was. It was, I think, by 2 Chainz, and it was the chorus was like this. The chorus was, "I'm riding around and I'm getting it. I'm riding around and I'm getting it. I'm riding around and I'm getting it. It's mine, I spend it. It's mine, I spend it." Anybody remember that song? I'm riding around and I'm getting it. It's mine, I spend it. Give me a yes or no if you remember that song. Now, pay attention to this chorus. Now, first of all, this is a spiritual thing. I'm talking not just about the subconscious mind, but really this is a metaphysical conversation about spirituality and what vibration they keep you on. A lot of your black men out here that are very prominent are really nothing but 45-year-old teenagers. They're 45. They might as well be walking around with their pants sagging or whatever, like literally doing teenager shit because they're like little children. They've never grown up. They've never understood the necessity for community building, family building, structure, and the ability to protect and provide and all these other things. They'll never understand these things. And so if you think about that song, "I'm riding around and I'm getting it," right? Where you're repeating these lyrics over and over to the point where they're sinking deeply into your subconscious mind. Like, this is literally who you're becoming. Process that, right? He's saying, "I'm riding around and I'm getting it." He's not, now remember, getting it ain't the same as keeping it, right? And because he says it's mine, I spend it. So he's not saying I'm riding around and I'm keeping it. He's saying I'm riding around, I'm getting it. He's not saying I'm riding around and I'm building it. I'm riding around and I'm investing it. I'm riding around and I'm growing it. Right? He's saying I'm riding around and I'm getting it. And then he says, it's mine, I spend it. It's mine, I spend it. He's not saying. Now remember, if you say it's mine, I spend it, well, if it's mine and I spend it, then it won't be mine for very long. So what this song is basically saying is, I'm riding around accumulating money, and as soon as I get that money, I give it right back to the white man. As soon as I get a nickel in my pocket, it's mine, I spend it. So to celebrate the fact that it's mine, to celebrate the fact that my family has accumulated some income, I now feel I'm going to celebrate by giving it right back to the white man. So that makes you an economic sucker. That makes you a financial boomerang for them. That means that any nickels, any little crumbs that we drop on black people, they're going to ride around and get it, and then they're going to spend it right away. All right? And the thing about it is that if it's mine and I spend it, then it's not going to be mine for very long. It's only mine if I know how to keep it. It's only mine if I know how to grow it. It's only mine if I know how to build it. So a lot of the music that you hear is basically telling you to do every single thing you need to do in order for you to stay broke, in order for you to stay a victim, in order for you to stay a loser, in order for you to stay ignorant, in order for you to destroy yourself. And so white media, one of the reasons that they only celebrate entertainers and athletes and do not celebrate your scholars, they don't celebrate your doctors and lawyers, they don't celebrate all the brilliant black people in the community, they don't talk about your fathers that are holding it down, the real pillars of the community, is because they want you to be ignorant and self-destructive. Like those words, that lifestyle they live, it's unfortunate. What's really unfortunate as well is that sometimes when you have people that want to give a message that is beneficial and positive to the black community, many black people don't receive it because they feel like it's not black enough. And in some cases, unfortunately, it comes down to, well, it's not ignorant enough. It's not dumb enough. I'm 40 years old, but you need to talk to me like I'm 12. If you're not talking to me like I'm 12 and chopping your English up and talking crazy and bringing in ignorant shit, then I'm not going to understand that because I'm just a lowly Negro. White people are the ones who receive things in an appropriate fashion. White people are the ones who receive things in an intellectual space, in a productive space. Black people, nah, you got to throw in some, you got to dance a little bit. You got to throw in some ignorance. You got to talk some crazy victim talk or some hood shit, right? If you don't do that, then we're not going to hear you. And I personally think that this is something that has been ingrained in you. They've trained you to be white supremacists. They've trained you to believe that because you are less than, because you're not as intelligent, that you can't receive productive information. You can only feed off of negativity. You can only feed off of ignorance. You can only feed off of elements of black self-destruction and or victimhood. So I want you to just process this for a minute. I want you to do this favor for me. When you open up a magazine or you're sitting in the grocery store and you see who's on the magazine, which black people are being featured. Typically, if it's a man, it's going to be an entertainer or an athlete because those become your leaders. Not that all entertainers and athletes are bad, not that they're all stupid, but most of your athletes are just employees. That's what they are. Even when they become wealthy enough to be builders and owners, they act like employees. Like, a lot of the NBA guys, they work for the NBA. They do what the NBA tells them to do. They don't really do what they want to do. Same thing is true when you're talking about a lot of your entertainers. A lot of your entertainers, unfortunately, are caught up in popularity. And one example was this week I saw where the head of the National Action Network was talking about Vicky Dillard and comparing her to Tamika Mallory. And he said that basically he claimed that Tamika Mallory was more relevant because Tamika has more Twitter followers. So this whole idea that you measure black leadership by who has the most Twitter followers or who's on TV the most or who got invited to the Grammys and all this other stuff, that effectively feeds into white supremacy. That makes you a white supremacist because that effectively says that the people who control the Grammys get to control which people black people respect and which black people don't respect. So I want you to kind of understand how the game is played and understand that in order for you to truly be a real leader in the black community, you got to get completely off the grid. You got to let go of mainstream media, let go of white media. You got to focus on developing your own paradigms of knowledge and thought. At the end of the day, building a strong black family is one of the most critical things we can do. That means respecting the black man. That means raising strong children. Also, reading every book you can get your hands on is critical. Reading, knowledge. The communities that have the most knowledge are the communities that win. The drugs and alcohol. Staying away from drugs is critically important because last week we had an incredibly unproductive conversation about all the things we could have learned from the deaths of DMX, from the death of Whitney Houston, from the deaths of Michael Jackson. Instead of people sitting around and saying, okay, you know what? Drugs have really messed up our community. You get people saying, oh, Lord Jesus, how did this happen? This must have just been bad luck. Some people are so unfortunate, or some people are such victims in life that this is what happens to them. No, 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 no. Why do you think I tell you guys that black people need to really reconsider our relationship with drugs and alcohol? I know white people love to drink like fish, and y'all, that makes y'all think it's okay. But no, alcohol is the most dangerous drug in the world. Did y'all know that? That more people die from alcohol consumption than anything else. And if anybody's ever had a drunk ass uncle who's let down his family on every available term because he's too busy drinking to be there for his kids, you know what the hell I'm talking about. If anybody's ever had a mama or an auntie addicted to crack, or an uncle that was slanging dope and got shot up in the hood, like everybody knows what drugs and alcohol do to our community. So remember, Malcolm X used to say that the white man will sell you the liquor bottle. Shout out to Malcolm X, by the way. I should acknowledge his birthday. I can't believe I didn't do that. I'm so sorry. My apologies for not doing that. But this is your national holiday, by the way. This is bigger than Christmas as far as I'm concerned. This is certainly bigger than MLK Day and George Washington President's Day. All of that shit. None of that stuff none of that compares to May 19th. None of it. None of it. Shout out to Malcolm X. Today is his birthday. Let's acknowledge him right now. Hashtag Malcolm X, please. I'm so sorry I did not mention that because Malcolm told y'all a long time ago that the white man will sell you the liquor bottle and then he will lock you up for being drunk because your drunk ass was too unalert to know that the police was pulling up with their gun, so they shot you up. Your drunk ass was too out of it to know that it was 3 o'clock and it's time for you to pick your daughter up from school because she's dependent on you because you supposed to be the goddamn rock of the family and you acting like a fucking tiny ass flimsy little leaf, right? The white man will sell you the liquor bottle and sell you the dope so that you're not alert, so that you're too unalert to know that there's money out here to be had for the person who knows how to go hustle and get it. So at the end of the day, I'm just here to tell you guys that a lot of the things that you're hearing from these entertainers, a lot of these fake black leaders they're putting in front of you, these people that they're putting on your TV set and on the covers of magazines are people that are designed to lead you off a cliff. They teach you how to be a victim so you can be victimized. They teach you how to be ignorant so that you become dependent on the government and the system to tell you what to do next. They teach you how to get addicted to drugs and alcohol so that you will be too unaware of what's going on for you to actually be able to make moves and do anything strategic. They give you all the wrong values so that you can keep putting yourself in a hole and then keep complaining about how hard it is to be black. Well, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this. I don't know if I sound crazy when I say it. People will accuse me of sounding like a Republican. I ain't no Democrat or Republican. Get off that stupid stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of these people that misguide you are the people that want you to turn to them to depend on them when you need help. These people want you to stay in the ditch so that they can continue to do well for themselves, so they can continue to get votes, so they can continue to get money, so they can continue to have power, so they can continue to be your only Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So I'm telling you, black people, at the end of the day, following these people that they're putting in front of you in these magazines and on TV is not beneficial to the community. You need to evaluate what is being promoted for what it is. When Cardi B is out here teaching little girls how to be hoes at the age of 7, you must understand that's directly connected to the number of black girls that get raped and molested when they're 13, 14 years old. When they're telling you that black fathers don't matter and that that's only toxic masculinity, they are opening the door for the mass amounts of abuse that occurs to black children who don't have a father to protect them, and the egregious poverty that exists in the community because the lowest net worth in America, did y'all know, statistically speaking, that the lowest net worth in America is that of the single black mother because she does not have anyone to help her provide income to the household. You do understand that when your kid goes through Chicago public schools and they graduate and they cannot read, it is because you trusted those people to teach your child how to read instead of making sure that they got in front of somebody who loved them enough to make sure that they could read and they could learn. By handicapping that child at an early age, by giving them an inferior, white-centered education, you not only have turned your child into a white supremacist, but they are also an ignorant white supremacist, which makes it 10 times worse. That means that they are going to basically do everything that is the exact opposite of what they need to do in order to be empowered as black people. So the reason I'm having this conversation with you, and I gotta go because I gotta go do some stuff to get ready for my wedding. We gotta go pick up the tux today. I get married on Friday. I'll let you guys know more about it as the time comes up. We have to reevaluate how we view everything. Propaganda is everywhere. A big part of propaganda is the fact that white media loves to celebrate rappers as if somehow this is what every little black boy should aspire to. This is not a diss on rappers. I told you, I got a Willie D from the Ghetto Boys is in my wedding. D1 is going to be at my wedding. I have a lot of great relationships with a lot of great rappers, from David Banner to Killer Mike to a lot of great guys who are just absolutely wonderful people. Ice Cube, of course, and a bunch of love my friends that are rappers. But at the end of the day, we can't have that be the consistent and only beacon of success for a black man. That's why your black men are struggling. Because every black man is sitting here, every good black dude, tell me if you've seen this, every dude I know who's like a good dude has had a time where he couldn't get a girl's attention because she wanted him to be more thugged out. Well, you ain't enough of a thug. Why the fuck do I got to be a thug to get your attention? You don't care that I'm an engineer. You don't care that I've read 50 books. You don't care that I'm building wealth. You don't care that I'm going to be a great dad to your child. All you give a shit about is the fact that I don't look like the type of dude who's going to slap the shit out of you if you piss me off one day. Why the hell I got to be a thug for you to think that I'm a real man? Yo, don't get me wrong. No disrespect to thugs. Fine, whatever. If that's who you are, that's who you are. But stop making this the blueprint for manhood. But I need a corporate thug. I need a man who's a little bit corporate and a little bit thug. No, how about you get a man that's going to be a good father for your child? I swear to God, I'm going to say this point, and then I'm going to bounce up out of here. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. BlackMenUnited.net. If you want to get a centerpiece on manhood in terms of in the world, in the view of Boyce Watkins, by the way, Andre C. Hatchett and I created something called BlackMenUnited.net. The URL is right there on the screen. So if you're a man, you go ahead and join. This is only for men, but feel free to go ahead and go and join. It's totally free. Let me just tell you a little secret. This is personal. The black woman I'm marrying is just, one of the most amazing, most delicious and extraordinary black women I've ever met. She has all the curves in all the right places, and she has a brain on her shoulders like no other. She's a full professor of social work, and I just admire that immensely about her. But at the wedding, in my speech, I'm going to thank her father, who passed on not too long ago. His name was Dr. Francis Taylor. And the reason I'm going to thank her father for not just creating this beautiful woman that I'm going to have the honor of marrying on Friday, I'm also going to thank him for the fact that because he was a professor just like me, that his daughter grew up admiring men who were smart and not just looking up to men who played sports or who acted like thugs. Her father, her daddy, set the template in her mind of what a good black man looks like. I'm not saying that that only smart black men or only educated men are better. I'm not saying that at all. There's a lot of good men who maybe don't have a lot of education. So this is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that she would not have been attracted to me when we were in school together. She got hit on by NBA athletes who were 6'5", 240 pounds, driving a Ferrari. I didn't have a Ferrari, and I'm 5'8", and I ain't growing no taller. I keep waiting for God to let me grow, but I think I'm done. I think I'm not gonna grow anymore. I remember watching her get hit on by the football players who went to the NFL. I remember seeing her get hit on by the rappers who had the big chains and the Bentleys and all this other crap. She was not interested in that. She wanted to be with a man who was smart, a man who could provide the security for her family that she needed, and a man who would be a good father to her kids, who would not bring craziness and chaos and drama to her life. So when you see guys that promote this idea of men running around sleeping with everything that moves, getting caught up in all kinds of shit that's gonna get them locked up, got 14 babies mamas in 12 states, that was not of interest to her. I did not meet this beautiful black woman in the club. I met her in the library. And so the point of the matter that I'm bringing, the reason I'm bringing this up is because we need to honor all the templates of manhood and not just the ones that are approved by white people. There are other templates of manhood besides the guy who has to be thugged out at every available turn, banging over breakfast. Like, God bless, the Nipsey Hussle imagery and stuff like that. I think that's totally cool. Mad respect to a Nipsey Hussle, but not every guy's gonna be Nipsey Hussle. I honored that. I think he's cool. Nipsey and I were cool. We both supported different things, for sure. But a black man does not have to be what you see in media for him to be a quality man. There's a whole lot of quality dudes who are never going to get on the cover of a magazine because white people don't think that they're thugged out enough. So let's stop that, man. Let's start honoring all the men in the community who are holding it down, who are taking care of their kids, who are not bringing drama to their family, who are loving and marrying black women, who don't need to have a pack of hoes and all this other stuff that they teach you in media, who are just saying, look, I just want to be a regular dude who works hard for his family, protect his daughters, and make sure that my family's good. I'm building wealth. I'm reading books. I'm learning. I'm trying to grow. Shout out to all of you who are in the chat who represent that paradigm and that template, because that is who I'm honoring today. No disrespect to the rappers and the athletes. Y'all get enough attention. Y'all know this. Many of y'all would agree with what I'm saying here. I'm honoring that regular guy who's holding it down for the village. Those are the men that are going to be the builders. Those are the men who will get on their knee and propose to a black woman and won't think that it's simping. Those are the men who are going to build up your fucking 401k because they're not going to want to go blow it all on the sports car. Those are the men who are going to be there every day for their kids because they're not going to miss the child's fucking. Y'all get me mad. I'm sorry. They're not going to miss the child's ballet recital because he was getting high with his boys that day. So I just really need y'all to kind of get with me on this. I hope that you understand what I'm saying. I'm probably sound like I'm getting hard on certain people. Some people think I sound old fashioned, like, oh yeah, this whole thing about stable families, boys, you're sounding old fashioned. Whatever. Then I'm gonna be old fashioned because those old fashioned values that came from your grandparents that you make fun of, where you think it's like, oh, but that ain't really with it. Granddad, grandma sound like but those old fashioned values kept families together. And many of y'all had granddaddies that have more testicles, more balls in their damn pinky than some of these wimpy ass, bitchy ass, flashy ass little punks that you see on the street right now. A lot of y'all have families that were stable in the 1940s, but completely unstable by 1998. So I just want y'all to understand that sometimes to move to the future, you got to go back. You got to go back. You got to hear the stories that Dr. Claude Anderson tells about the 1940s and what black people used to be. what we were before we let these people tell us to be something different. So I just believe that, yeah, do I sound like a conservative? I probably am. I think that there are some things we can conserve, and these things will make us sturdy and stable. And I think there's a reason why they work overtime to kill those values in our community. Let's go back to manhood, y'all. I'm tired of this nonsense. Some of this stuff is stupid. I'm out of here, guys. Hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button. Please do that. We're trying to build our media outlet. We need your help. We really want to share our message with more people. And so if you can, please take a second, share this video. It will really help us a lot. And I'm out of here, guys. The wedding, we're probably going to show the wedding live stream on the Black Love channel. So if you're into that kind of thing, if you're into Black love and Black marriage and relationships and you want to see it all go down, you can go to the blacklovechannel.com. I'll put the URL on the screen. The wedding is Friday at 3 o'clock, Friday at 3. And here is the URL. Wait, sorry, that's the Black Boss channel. Sorry, the Black Love channel. There we go. There's the URL. So feel free to check in Friday at 3 o'clock. I'm going to try to see if I can get them the live stream. I'm out of here. Have a good day. Love you guys. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.